welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and project recipe number 7 in our book. Now I'm just going to give you a disclaimer right off the bat today. This one is not going to be quick and easy and short and all those things that I like to tell you, because there are several borders on this, but I do think it's going to be really pretty. Now I'm not going to tell you what the subject is for just a minute, because you're going to think I've absolutely lost my mind. So let's just look at what we need to do to lay out. Now, it tells us to use 2 identical pieces of designer paper for the base, and I'm going with the pinks on this for the designer paper for the base. And then as far as cutting, I want us to look at what we actually need. Now, I have pulled this to correspond with this, and I want this to be the backgrounds here, here, and then the borders on the outside edges. So I'm going to be cutting A, B, C, and D from this paper here. Now, when I look, let's look for A, B, C, and D. That's the first designer paper. So I'm going to get my 12-inch trimmer for that. And turn it right side up for starters. And we're going to need 2 1.5 by 12s. And I cut my 1.5s on the right side. So line up at 1.5 and 1.5. And then I need 2 4.5 by 12s. So 4.5 over here, just go to the 4.5 mark and cut that. And those two should be the same size, give or take. And that part's done. So let's see what else I'm looking at. Mats, I'm not going to cut just yet. There's a mat here, and then 4 here, and then 1 more here. Those parts I'm not going to cut just yet because I'm not sure exactly what I want to do about matting. But one other thing I'm looking at is these little stripes. We've got these blue stripes here that kind of set everything apart. And I was looking at that and I thought, okay, this is a good place to use a sticker border or an embellished border. And I wanted to show you very quickly. I use the Sort and Stash binder for this kind of stuff. And I have the sleeves in here that are border sleeves. Now, you can tell there are a lot of colors here. So, things that I have that are multicolored, I typically put in this first page. But then I organize red, orange, yellow. I got my pinks in there. And then I put in an embellishment pocket as well. So, red, pinks, oranges, yellows, all of those are an embellishment pocket. Greens, got my greens, lots of greens. And then an embellishment pocket with the green stuff in it. Then I go into my blues, and I've got those organized. Now, you may say, well, that's not blue. You're right, it's not, but it has some teal on it, so I added the teal there. But I wanted to look through this binder because I was thinking about these little embellishment pieces right here. I think we can use those with what we're doing. I'm going to lay them out just in case. But having things organized according to themes or colors really helps me to find what I need pretty quickly. Now, there are a lot of things in here I need to go through and look at, some things I need to throw out. But overall, I find myself using things a lot more when I have them in this binder. Now, I move them into here when my collection is almost finished or I just have a few pieces of it left, just like I showed you with my paper and my stickers. So those are my main organization systems that you have seen in place. And you saw how quickly I could pull something out. So I don't need these strips. Don't really need the mats. I am going to do a punched border, but we're going to save that because when you see the punched border, you're automatically going to know what my pictures are. So let's go ahead and lay out these 2 pages. And what it shows us is that we need border here and here. Those are our paper borders. Then I'm going to use my punched one here. I think I'm going to go with that light gray look because I do like the way that looks against the pinks. And then we are going to use this in the center. So let's tape these down. So we've got all those little parts and pieces taped down, and that was really quick, wasn't it? So let's go on to the harder parts of this layout. And I think at this point, I probably need to show you pictures because the border punch I picked to do my borders is going to be really weird to you. I picked the Snow People border punch, and typically I would not use pink for snow pages at all, but my sweet little granddaughter has the prettiest pink coat that she wore when they had snow way down south. And I mean, it was a lot of snow. This was not snow up to her chest. She was standing behind something, but they had a lot of snow, and she had a great time and wore that beautiful pink coat. So I felt like I really needed to do pink pages for this. I have way more pictures than I have space on this page. I'm looking at probably some peekaboo pockets or something, but we'll get to that in a minute. What I want to do first is go ahead and punch my borders, and those are going to be my Snow People borders. Now, it shows us punching 4 borders and then cutting those in half. And if you notice on here, there's border, 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 border. There. The Snow People border is a little bit larger, so I don't feel like we're going to need 4 of them. But I am going to go ahead and punch 2. Now, the Snow People one is one where you've got the black lines on the front. You line up your black line, punch, and cover. And you just keep covering until you get to the end of your paper. I'm doing this on white because it's going to go across this pink area. And I felt like this would be really pretty and would really stand out against that pink. So there's one. And let's do one more. I am doing this out of a cover sheet. I didn't necessarily need the thickness of a piece of cardstock for this, so I just did it out of an old cover sheet. And we'll start with those 2 and then see where we end up. And these are going to be situated here and then again at the bottom. And I am not going to place those just yet, but I am going to go ahead and cut this in pieces. And I'm going to do that just with my scissors. I'm looking at what I need to hide. It's going to go under this little border over here. So I could actually cut that right here. I did cut off his arm. That's okay. And then probably one right down here. And then let's do the same thing on the opposite side, just for continuity. And there again, I think I can stick it right under the edge of that border and it'll be fine. Now let's go back to our sketch. Now our sketch shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures, and they're all up and down pictures, which is pretty hard to get. And you know, in developing my own, I did come up with lots of up and down pictures. So I'm just going to kind of lay these around and see what we got to work with, and then we'll decide where we're headed. Some of my pictures feel like they're sticking together. That one ended up pretty big. There's her little tiny snow angel. I think that's so sweet. And I did develop some smaller ones too, because some of them didn't necessarily need a giant space, but I did want to keep them. This was her showing me that she was wearing socks on her hands because she had no mittens. I think that's adorable. And they did teach her to put her hands in her pockets to keep them warm, and she was pretty good about that. So you can see already, I'm going to put a lot more pictures on this page than just their little 6 pictures. Their house in the snow. I do want this probably kind of at the forefront because she was sitting at the window with her kitty cat watching the snow fall to begin with. And then she and her daddy got out in the snow. You can probably see here that my white border got cut off. So I need to fix that and add a little more white border there. I do want her and Mom measuring the snow. This is one of my very favorites. I just took all her cute little expressions and made a composite of that. So I absolutely love that one. So I'm just trying to get kind of a cross section of all the fun they had in the snow. And I really do need this because after the snow fun, they came in and had snow snacks, because you got to have snow snacks. But you know what? That may be a peekaboo pocket there. And I'm already thinking maybe I just need to stop with this. Maybe it needs to be 4 pages. I mean, this was a historical snow for their area. They don't have snow like this very often. So maybe I need to take it to 4. Or maybe I could put all these smaller pictures in peekaboo pockets and be done with them. This, I think I used in the composite, so I don't have to use that one. I printed a bunch of them, and then I ended up getting so much better ones that I didn't actually need all the ones I had printed. So maybe we can pare it down. You'll see, even printing my own pictures, sometimes I run into problems with how to arrange them. And I just think that's going to have to be a peekaboo. I can't see any way around it. And then I can add these into the peekaboo as well. All right, so I think that's where we're headed with it. And let's go ahead and stick our borders in first. Let me grab my mat for that. Now, you didn't know it when I was choosing it, but I was picking these particular borders because I had that rounded element from the paper that I was using. So I wanted to kind of go with that round look. I also wanted something to add in a little of the gray feel of the snowy day. It wasn't a bright sunshiny day, but very, very gray, I think, overall. I wasn't there. I was really sad I wasn't there because I do love snow, but fortunately they FaceTimed me a lot and let me see all the fun she was having. And all of these pictures were actually taken off of FaceTime, if you can believe that. Well, I say all of them. Most of the shots of just her were taken off of FaceTime while she was playing in the snow. And I was able to grab those, and they printed very well. I was kind of surprised by that. And I do want my snow people. Well, first of all, I'd like for this border to be even. I do want my snow people to be basically at the same space, top to bottom, on both pages. Y'all, I want you to know, when you give me comments and you say, why didn't you do something, or I might should have done this, or whatever, it doesn't hurt my feelings, because we all look at our pages and we do them different ways. I can tell you, once you get on camera, all thought goes away, and it's harder to remember what you intended to do. But I do appreciate you telling me, hey, I might have done this, or why didn't you do this? It's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I take it as constructive criticism, and it makes me happy to know that you're actually watching the videos and paying attention. So keep the comments coming. I like them. I hope that it makes me a better scrapbooker because we've collaborated on these things together. But I am certainly not opposed to learning new tricks. So y'all keep helping me out. Keep holding me accountable. I love teaching, but I also love learning. All right, and one more. I know some of you would find it funny that I feel like I have to have this many pictures of a little snow event, but if you live in the South, you will certainly understand this was a major snow event for the South. Okay. Now we've got all our borders on. I do need to add just a white edge to the bottom of that picture. And this is how I typically do that. I put some repositionable tape along the bottom edge of my picture. I stick it down with the spacing that I want. And then I just cut off the excess. I'm not getting exactly exact on this trimmer right now. But that added that bottom border that cut off on my printer. I've heard from several of you who are using the Epson PM400 now. And that's just one of the glitches on it. I think it has to do with how my paper is feeding in. So I end up a good bit with the bottom borders not printing exactly where I want them. And I think this one I'm going to center over here. Love the socks. That needs to be some journaling. I mean, just a quick thing. I don't have to say a lot about it, but she was pretty pleased with those socks on her hands. She was actually in her pajamas too, and my husband thought they had just let her go out in her pajamas. The thing of it is, those pajamas are kind of big and they're very warm. And so my daughter had layered her other clothes underneath her pajamas to keep her really, really toasty outside. This is the first snow this baby had seen since she was little bitty. And she wanted to stay out in it. She hated coming inside. This is them measuring the snow. At their house, it was about 5 inches. So she was using the yardstick and measuring the snow. But then she started using the yardstick to throw the snow all over the place off of the back of their canoe. Loved that. I think we're looking at a peekaboo pocket here. So, yep. I centered that, but now I'm thinking it needs to go over. Lost my white mat for the bottom. I'm going to take it over just a little bit to give us some space right there. It is hard to line these up too because the little designs on this paper are not consistent. They are all over the place. All right. See a little glitch right there. So I'm really happy with the look of this page. I will be adding peekaboo pockets and journaling. I wanted to add just a little extra oomph to my little snow people. And so I was thinking I would do that. Oh, it's not going to work the way I thought it would. What I was thinking was I could punch out that little heart and we could make it fit into all those little hearts right there. But it's not a reverse. So because it's not a reverse, here's what I would have to do. I would have to punch that and then cut these little hearts apart to put them on there. And you know, sometimes it's just not worth the extra effort. I might have something that would punch a little heart like that in the correct size. Now, some of you would think this is great fun to cut all these little bitty hearts out. I think it would be cute, but I'm not sure for me the extra effort and punching is worth it. It's cute enough, but no. The thought of it was great, but the execution of it, not so much. All right, so let me show you a couple of embellishments I ran across. Now, my biggest problem in doing these pages was the fact that it was so very pink. And all of the Creative Memory snow things this year that came out were adorable, but they were in red, whites, and blues. And that caused this pink page a big problem. So I was looking at a couple of things. These came from the new Noteworthy collection. Now there is this winter one that I kind of like. It's not necessarily just red, white, and blue. I think it could work okay, but probably not my favorite. Now I do like this winter here. And these stickers from this particular part, this particular set, are clear stickers. So when you put them on, it looks like you've written on it. So I think that's kind of fun. I'm feeling like this is crooked. So I could put those right here on my little snow people. And when I kind of mash those down, it just disappears into it. So it looks like I wrote winter there. Kind of like that. I've got a few little snowflakes that are not bad to add. I think they would be cute because the colors are not going to take away from anything else I've got going on. They'll just give me a little bit of something. A little bit of a flake. And we'll just put one on each of these little snow borders. So we've got the snowflake borders. And then in the other Noteworthy things, I saw these boots and then a couple of other snowflakes. Now, I liked these boots because her daddy's got on this brown jacket, so it brings out the browns. I do like these mittens because they're gray, And that brings out the gray in her mom's clothes. And then we've got several other snowflakes I'm going to pull. And for this, I think I'm going to add a journaling area right here. I'm going to do that with a piece of white. I just need that about 4 inches wide, about the size of my photo. Not nearly that tall. Still very tall. And on this, I'll put the date. I'll put how much snow they got. I will put that she liked having her socks on her hands. Just some of the things you don't know necessarily from looking at the pictures, but things I want to remember for her. Make sure that outside edge is evened up. All right, and I did mat that on my pink. And I may end up adding a journal box over here. I kind of doubt it. But let's stick this one down. Tack it lightly with our regular tape. Because if I messed it up and had to cover it up, I could take it off and redo that. And I kept thinking I wanted to add those boots there, but I don't really want them on top of my snowman heads. So maybe we need to add the boots down here. And for that, I'm going to use my anti-stick tool. I do still have some of these anti-stick tools left. They're $7, but, well, it's $7.63 including my tax. But I can tell you, shipping is outrageous right now. So I think it cost us like $4 to ship that little thing. If you're interested, it'll cost you about $12 to get the anti-stick tool. But they're good. I really do like them. And I do still have some left. They did sell out through Creative Memories, but they may be back in the future. Not sure. And again, on these little stickers, I'm going to use it so I can use my foam squares without these sticking to everything on the page. And I am going to put those up here where she's showing me her sock mittens. And then we've got just these little bitty snowflakes. And really those tiny foam squares are going to take up most of the space on this. So I think for this, I'm going to put them on my journal box. Now, if you'll pay attention when you see the picture pop up before the video or after the video, you may see that I end up doing something else over here. I may end up adding some of those smaller pictures, but most likely they will all go in a peekaboo pocket. And I'll just go ahead and make this a one-page spread, a 2-page spread, rather than going on to more pages for this. But what a cute page. Now remember, we only did one border, top and bottom on each of those, whereas they had 2. I did use a lot of the up and down pictures, except for here where I had made that composite of several pictures together. And we're looking at a peekaboo pocket here. But very, very true to project recipe number 7. So I think we did well. And I hope you liked the pink snow pages. Not something you see every day. And until I see you next time, happy scrapping.